everybody. Welcome to E-I-3. That is everything in 3 media. And this is Trey. This is my co-host, Shane Zulu Shepherd.
What it do?
All right, so what you'll see on this podcast is going to be a wide variety of things. But today's topic is very near and dear to my heart. It's something that's kind of sensitive to me and where I am in life. All right, so I'm a Florida native and a resident, man.
For
sure. So what we're about to talk about just really hits me a certain type of way. Okay. The state of Florida just recently passed a law, okay, where they are going to mandate that they teach that slavery was beneficial to the slaves. Yeah, I just said that slavery is beneficial to the slaves.
Say, let that sink in.
Now, I know that anybody that knows Ron DeSantis and what he's been doing here in the state of Florida and how he just whips his pen and he changes a law or does what he wants to do, we already been seeing this coming a little bit. Now he's running for president. Oh, man. Shane, please, man. Talk to me about how you feel as someone who just moved here to Florida, and now your children and soon to be Florida-born child, okay, born and raised in the gunshine, is gonna now be here, raised in this environment, especially since man. We're not leaving. I'm not leaving.
I ain't going nowhere. This is promised land. I told you that years ago. Down there 9-10 years ago. This is it for me. So, first of all, man, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for introducing me to your audience as well as my audience. Introducing me as your co-host. I'm Shane Shepherd, and one of these days, Trey is going to put up a video which runs my resume and gives you the reason why I have the ability to sit in this chair next to him.
Oh, yeah.
And why my opinion matters. But back to the subject matter at hand. I am new to the state of Florida. I've been coming back and forth for maybe 5 or 6 years, fell in love with it. But I had told Trey 10 years ago, hey, man, listen, when I get my situation situated up top, I'm from Indiana, I'm going to be moving down here with you, man. You know, a lot of people say a lot of things. I meant that all those years ago. So just 2 years ago, I decided to pick my whole show up, bring it on the road. Thanks, shout out to Trey for making it possible. I was able to come and stay with him while I created a new situation for myself here. Now I'm here, which brings me to what the gentleman said. I'm going to be raising my children here in Florida. How do I feel about the law that's been passed that mandates that they teach my children that slavery was beneficial to black people? That was a mouthful, but here's my answer. I never depend on the education system to teach my children right anyway. And a lot of the history that has already been presented to us as black people, we've already debunked it years ago. Yeah, we understand that Christopher Columbus didn't discover anything. We know that we are not African and American because that's 2 continents, not 2 nations of people. We started to debunk things, and what did that do for us as a group, as a people? Nothing. Because a lot of times we yearn for information, and then we get it and don't do nothing with it. Now, I'm horrified that this was not only an idea, but was able to pass through any sort of legal legislation, knowing that this is a fictitious sentiment, but this is what we've been getting. I'm not shocked at all, not even a little bit. When I exposed it to Trey, and it blew him. Like we was talking about something else. I showed him it. We just turned like, bruh, we got to talk about this. So,
man, look, because, all right, someone who's born and raised here in Florida, educated here in Florida, all my formative years, never went to school anywhere else. Okay. And what I can tell you is this: when I was brought up in Florida schools, they taught us every single part of slavery. Okay. They did not mince words at all. And words, when I say mince words, I mean, the N-word was in books. You know, it was in the books that you're reading and in the history books that you're reading and in the English books, language, it was in everything. Okay, that you're reading. All right. They didn't put any cut on it down here. Okay. What it did for me, it let me know at a young age, okay, that what's happened here in this country wasn't right. what we've done to our own people in this country. Okay, when I say our own people, I'm talking about fellow Americans.
Right, no
okay,
doubt.
I'm not putting any separation in what I'm talking about right now, because this is a discussion that affects everybody. This does not just affect me. This does not just affect Shane. Okay, because whether you are white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever you may be, as you watch this, if you are here in the state of Florida and your children are being raised here in the state of Florida, what's being taught is not the honest truth. Okay. And when your child goes somewhere else, they will be at a deficit because they will have been lied to and taught a fallacy. All right. That really should never, ever, ever, ever be uttered out of anybody's mouth. We're talking about blasphemy here, man, when you're talking about slavery was beneficial to black people. So what are you saying? Are you saying that it was beneficial because of the fact that I have the build that I have? All right, because you chattel mated my family members?
Well, skill sets developed that you can use now.
Skill sets.
Just giving you the quote.
Last I checked, if you check the history books, right, we're the ones who taught them how to grow peanuts. We're the ones who really showed them how to pick cotton and invented the cotton gin. No one gave us a skill to do that. We showed them. Okay,
I know.
It's
so let me add this. With the knowledge that you had growing up,
yeah,
they gave it to you and your generation raw and uncut.
Mm-hmm.
The generation before them probably got it raw and uncut. The generation before them was the ones that went through some of it.
They were
Jim
slaves.
Crow and is in the third, whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh no, because my mom, they didn't desegregate here at least in where my mom was and my dad was here in Florida until they were in high school.
Okay,
and my parents are 69 and 70 years old.
Okay, so here's the point.
Yeah,
the knowledge was here. The information was here before Governor DeSantis came with this draconian law.
Yes.
This horrible, evil law. Something like when slavery was legal, but we ain't gonna talk about the laws that they make.
Exactly.
But if you already had the knowledge then, look how many people, because one thing I do know is Florida has the biggest penal system in the state of in the United States of America.
Yeah.
They have the most inmates per capita
yes.
in the United States of America. They have a machine of slavery here in Florida. The prison system here in Florida is horrendous and horrible. So what did that knowledge do for the generation of people who birthed all these children that's in these filling up these prisons now? So that's what I go into. So if you emotionalize me about what you're not willing to teach me, but the knowledge is easily accessible because all I got to do is pay attention.
Yeah,
I'm not going to roar that you're not going to teach my children the truth. I'm going to teach my children the truth. And then when they get in there, they're going to probably keep raising their hand. So it's probably not going to be a good day for the teacher when you stand in front of my child and say, slavery was beneficial. My child probably gonna raise his hand and say, "How so?"
Yeah,
because because you're so well constituted at home that when you do get out in public, you oftentimes are a young reflection of Christ.
Yeah,
he was able at 12 years old, able to go into there and discuss with the Pharisees and Sadducees the law, and they was like, "Whoa," because he was well taught, well instructed.
Yes.
So
now, when it comes to rearing my children and how I'm going to raise them, I'm already exposing them to all that type of stuff. I mean, when it comes to history, I don't put any cut on it already. Okay. So, yeah, my kids are going to be able to rebut. They already do rebut right now.
no doubt.
But at the end of the day, the children that aren't being taught that. Now, what is, to answer your first question was, what does it do? What did it do for the prior generation?
To not allow
the
prison system,
not allow
which
us to
is
get
further
to this
slavery.
situation.
Amen.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Here's what happened. They threw a couple wrenches in the game. All right. First, crack epidemic and the war on drugs. All right, that really affected Florida a lot harder than a lot more places because a lot of the drugs were coming through Florida at that point in time.
Absolutely.
It brought an influx of individuals that weren't even from Florida, from other countries here that were bringing more chaos with them than anything because of the drug trade coming through Florida. Okay, so at that point in time, history is not going to save you from trying to do things that you put yourself in motion. Okay. So me being understanding of history is not going to stop me from making a decision that might affect me eating today. Okay. not to say everybody is in that situation when they make that decision. Okay. But at the same time, when you first make that decision the first time, most people are in that at that point where it is a decision on what is going to give me sustenance today and how I'm going to get to that. So now, when we were earlier, you brought up Jesus and his message. I believe at some point he did speak on to. There was a lady that was in. She was like in a bazaar. And she was hungry, and she went to go grab the food, to take the food. Okay, and something happened to the effect of one of his apostles saw it, and he was like, they were like, that's wrong. She shouldn't be doing that. And Jesus spoke to them. He said, that, do you know why that woman did that? Like, she was at that point. Okay, and not to say right is wrong and wrong is right, but there's points in times when people make decisions of man-made laws were against man-made laws that happen, man, and putting you in a situation. True indeed. And if you let that snowball and draw you in, which is where the history comes in at. Okay, at that point in time, we had already, my mom and them grew up when the Black Panthers were first coming out. Okay, because my mom and them were my mom and my father. They went to high school and they were born in 53 and 55. So they went to high school probably in like 66, 68. Okay, so Black Panther Party had just really started. King just got killed. JFK just got killed. There's a few things that was happening right then. A lot of things that was happening down here. They just were just desegregating. You know what I mean? And they were supposed to desegregate way back when my mom was born, when my dad was born in 53. Okay. You know, so history helps, but it can only help if everybody adheres to it.
So here you go. Here's my not rebuttal, because I agree with you 100%. But everything still boils back to a choice to acknowledge the history and do something with it. Yeah. Just like the little brief history that we have in our generation, our time. We was the victims of the crack epidemic, of the drug era. Yeah. So boom, check it out. Me and you, same mistake. We go down the wrong path. We know right from wrong. We know better, but we was in an environment where it seemed as if though that was the thing to do. Which was perfectly wrong. There were other people in them same circumstances who made choices that made their outcomes different.
Yes.
And I see them all the time. I see some of my partners, the architect right now. You this or that right now. Same environment, same circumstances, but something, I don't know what that thing was, made you make different choices. So now, with this knowledge that we have now, we're looking at the world today, everything that's wrong seems right, everything that's right seems wrong. And the world has seemed like it's going backwards, at least according to God's law, according to what my moral compass say is right and wrong. If I scream on the rooftops, hey, don't you just remember 2-3 years ago, they kneeled on George Floyd's neck? What is it going to do? Because a person already remembered, because on anniversary, they bring up history, which is only 3 years ago.
Yes.
And it didn't make you change your ways or how we maneuver. So I'm not me. I understand if you don't know history, you don't know where you will go. I know history, and I allow history, not just ancient history. No, or take that back. Not only ancient history, but just yesterday. It's something to be learned from, because it's already part of history. So if I'm not going to cry that you're not going to teach my children the truth about a history that I have more history pounded on top of at this point that you still not taking and running with. That's kind of my position.
This ain't just about my children.
Okay.
Because like I said, remember, I told you I'm going to teach my household what I'm going to teach my household regardless.
This is about children who don't have people like us, or don't have fathers, or don't have people who know and speak the truth.
When you allow a lie to be told and perpetuate itself, right? Okay, and spread, all right? Eventually, what happens is the lie gets turned into the truth. All right? What we don't want to happen is it's not what you do to the history or what I do with the history. It's what everybody does with the history. See, me and you were speaking from a point to where we are in our 40s. We have seen a lot in life. We have experienced a lot of things. We have a good understanding of the world at this point in time, whether it be through business or speaking to individuals and environments that no one would ever think we would be in. All right. So at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's not about me and you and what we do with the history. It's about what everyone does with it. If it becomes just me and you understanding what the history is and knowing what the history is, yeah, we can try to navigate some things. But if you got people that are straight bucking it and not adhering to or understanding what's already been done and what you're about to do, what the decision you're about to make is going to lead you, then now you're in trouble.
Well, hear me stretching it a little further.
Go for it.
The history we speak of is African American history. They always start our history.
No, that's not just African American history.
Hold on. Gotta hear what I'm saying.
That's not just African American history.
Go ahead.
Slavery is not just African American history.
The way the
white people slaved in
slavery. I'm
not saying white people got. No, a lot of people would think right now I'm finna go to some white people were enslaved. No, I'm finna talk about the fact that the history of white people enslaving someone and what they did when they had the opportunity to do it is their history. So that's not black history. That's not white history. That's American history.
Okay, so the people who are complaining is the reason why is because you're making it mandatory that you teach this particular subject like this to make one seem like they benefited from the other's mercy and grace. So right now we're speaking of it from a position of black history because that's the people that's bucking
the same thing they did to the natives.
So now this is my point.
With their history.
This is my point. The history that you start us off at slavery is blind us to our real culture and our identity.
Yeah.
The true history of us is recorded in the Bible. And we know this. With that knowledge, and this is the true and divine word of God. With that knowledge, how many of us had adhered to once I discovered my real true history and my real true identity, how many people that you know discovered that have really turned that corner and they said, you know what? I'm going to live according to what I've seen in this history, this part of history as well, because if we was this stiff-necked and made God turn from us because of our ways and say, hey, I'm going to hold my mercy and you're going to go through certain things and we know this. But most of us still have not said, you know what? I'm going to make that turn. So now if I'm going to make any of the two important, I'm not going to just say, well, since they won't teach us about this part of black history, I'm mad. No. Preachers should be held to the same standard. We outraged about that, and Governor Ron DeSantis or DeSatan or whichever way we want to refer to him, I'm more appalled at a person that looks like me. You've gained my trust. I've had funerals in your building. You've said the eulogy to my friends and my enemies alike. My grandmother trusts you. She pays you 10% of everything she's made for the last 65 years. You know what's in the history book, but you won't get in front of me and give me enough of that truth in the way that I need to hear it to make me change. But it's still those of us sitting in the audience like, I know the truth and I've changed because of it. So if this is going to be a catalyst for African American or the so-called Negro who's hung up on slavery and what it done to him, go back further.
Brother, nothing's going to happen about this. There's not going to be any response.
You see how fast they said, any yays, yay, any nays, pass.
Look, there's not going to be any response to what just happened. That was 2 days ago.
Right.
Okay. No response. You will not see tell me what the response could be. Tell me what can be done. Because at the end of the day, we stay where we stay. The country we live in is a republic.
I'm going to tell you what they can do.
So what happens is you vote people in. Okay. And when you vote these people in, then they make the decisions for you. That's what the definitions of a republic is. All right. That's what the United States is.
So you know who wouldn't have went for that? The same group of people who instituted it. So there's a group of white Republican women and they put them on a terrorist watch list. I can't think of what it is, but I'm sure doing our research and the production, they'll pull it up and we'll be able to show a clip of them. But it's a white Republican women's group, very conservative, and they're considering backing Ron DeSantis.
Well,
they've galvanized so much power in that middle class.
I've heard of them.
And they make so much noise because they fundraise well. They support the right people. They lobby. So when you say what can be done,
they're going against the
we should start. I know because he did something that they didn't like. But that's enough power to be. That's enough power to warrant national media coverage that you now are going to go against DeSantis. So what can we do? Sometimes when you have an opportunity,
that doesn't do
you sit back and yes, it does.
Hold up.
How you think they got so much?
Hold up. These white ladies right here that you were discussing, I'm familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know the situation that they got going on right now with DeSantis, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, they're not middle class. Middle class is not making $150,000, $200,000 for one individual.
Upper class.
These women come from $500,000 households a year.
No, not all. Not the group I'm talking about.
The group I'm talking about does.
They're like a group of soccer moms.
They're not. Yes,
but they've grown into this machine.
How do you become a soccer mom? You can become a soccer mom because you don't work. How do you not work? You don't work because your husband makes enough money. How do you not? How do you?
Trey, me and you are somebody's husband.
Yeah.
Neither one of our wives have to work, and neither one of us make $100,000.
The only reason my wife isn't working right now is because she's got some other stuff going on.
Only reason my wife not working because she's pregnant.
Exactly.
2 years in a row.
You know what I mean?
So, but obviously there's a demographic that can still come from, and we jumped off about who we talking about. But my reason for saying it was anymore, when you create a machine, just like even let's use this. Black Lives Matter was just a machine a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It could get things changed, laws changed, policies passed, putting people on notice. It did a lot of stuff, but guess what? The machine was faulty. And now that the machine is faulty, all of the work and the ways that it went about, it seems faulty. But if you that mad about it, somebody has to organize. It started. They have to have pressure.
Yeah, but for people to organize, people got to have time. Right now, you got the majority of the world running around too, and this is why nothing's going to happen. Okay, I had the discussion this morning with another individual. Okay, and I had the same discussion yesterday, so which is crazy. Okay, but so. I'm talking with this individual as I'm doing my laundry this morning. All right. This is a white dude who just came from California. Okay.
He moved here.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. He just moved here from California.
Smart man.
Yeah. And so me and him are talking, just having a regular conversation about where the world sits right now. And he brings up the fact that we're sitting in a spot or a position right now where things are happening, but no one's doing anything about it because we're too busy. And I said, you know what? It's not just that we're too busy. We're busy because everybody is trying to survive right now. Okay. Everybody's in survival mode. Once you get out of survival mode, then you start thinking about community and everybody else, and that understanding that raises you and raise it by raising everyone else. But while you're still in survival mode, that's like a whole bunch of rats and a whole bunch of crabs, you know what I mean, in a bucket. Okay, nothing is going to happen about what we just talked about. Nothing. No one's going to do anything because there's not enough time and energy to get anything done. Okay. The people who would have the energy to do it don't have the time.
True.
And the people who have the time don't have the motivation or energy. Okay.
I got something on that.
Nothing that's going to happen about that.
This is what I'll say is happening.
Okay.
This dialogue, two fathers of black children that are going to be raised in this state. We having conversation about it. That's one thing. So now we got knowledge of it. We aware of the grade levels when they going to start teaching them this. Yeah. So one, we can go on guard. That's playing a little bit offense and defense at the same time because I'm going to get you prepared for that time. Then when you say there's nothing that we can do, you right. Absolutely. Everybody's busy. We trying to survive. We pitting one against each other. We compete with social media, the way that they making these body images, the way that everybody today get some money overnight, people faking, stunting for the ground, blah, blah, blah.
Everything.
Guess how you affect change in the situation in the world like this? One household at a time.
Oh man, you stole my line.
I'm serious as all cancer, man.
That's the only way.
Me being a positive image in my household, me showing my children my ups and my downs, my struggles, me always showing them where my power come from. My source comes from God, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jesus is Father. That's what I'm speaking of. I just want to make sure because the word God these days is used very loosely, but I'm speaking of the God of the Bible.
Yeah.
I let them see my relationship. I'm faithful to my wife. When I see foolishness or fornication on TV, I make sure I acknowledge it and tell my children that's BS right there. We're going to turn that. I make sure I monitor what they hear for the most part, much as I can.
You can't do all that.
But still, and these are my young children. I have adult children that I've already seen. Boy, once they got a hold of certain things, They gonna do them.
Yeah.
So all you can do is honestly change how your household move, because while everybody else could be going through a storm and in survival mode, and then we talked about this morning, I promise you, and I'm glad this came to my mind. You could be going through the same thing that your neighbor going through, and the way that you deal with it, and the way that you view it is way different because of where you came from, where I came from.
Yep.
I did 12. How many did you do? 10. Same thing. Anything over decades, the same sentence until you get to the second decade. Facts. So we've done over a decade in prison.
Yes.
We slept on hard bunks. We fought. Feel like for your life. If I lose, I could die. If I squatted with the wrong team, every decision makes sense. It's detrimental. If I squatted with the wrong car and I got a weak leader, I could get in something and get shipped, murdered, any of these things. So now my viewpoint of a storm is different than his viewpoint of a storm.
Oh, yeah.
See, he probably ain't been through what me and you been through. So in the world that's going so crazy and going so backwards, I can really be still and have peace because I'm anchored. And that's all you can do. Again, knowledge of it, that it happened. I was horrified. The dude, and I'm going to just speak on this. The dude who put the show out, I watch him as trash media. He's a stomped down Democrat. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say. He's with it. You heard how he flipped it. Man. He said, being that they won't teach Black history, he's taking away from diversity and inclusion. But who you talking about diversifying and including? Because we talking about
he's trying to get clickbait on that.
And he's talking about the LGBTQs, and because everything right now is about diversity and inclusion, but we're not speaking about being diverse or being included. We included. We just fictitiously included. So that's like not being included at all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you want to exclude. No, you want to exclude our pain. You can't exclude us from the history. You can look around. This is our work. This is what we done. However, at the end of the day, I don't agree with him, and I don't agree with why people are upset. I agree that they're upset because I was upset, but I was upset for a different reason. I'm not depending on them to educate my children. I'm not going to hope that they come home knowing what's supposed to know. I'm upset, like you said, that there's not more people available with the resources, efforts, time, or energy that could build the type of machine that's required to challenge that. That's easy. That's not hard. You'll get so many people that are right. If you had people of power, when I say power,
influence.
I don't even just
get influence,
and it don't even just mean money.
No,
power these days is how many followers I got.
Exactly.
The world ain't gonna change until the people who influence the world change. And as long as we hold them up high, and this is my influencer, and he's rich overnight, and he did this. You ask children right now what they want to be when they grow up, they're gonna tell you a social media influencer. I promise you. They did a study on it. They did a poll on it.
My 18-year-old told me that. He told me that when he was 14, and I looked at him. I said, I don't even know what that is. No, you ain't doing that.
Baby Shane said the same thing.
Okay, and he's 18 now,
and he still want to be probably a social media influencer.
Probably.
So, but my point is, we are the influencers. It don't have to be social media. Start off with influencing your household. Be a righteous person everywhere you go. When people see your path and your walk, they can say, man, whatever Trey got going on, I want some of that. And then when you get close enough to them, you can tell them, hey, this is my struggle. This is what I overcame. This is how. Here's why. And now you a pillar. And over time, you'll become a person that, honestly, you can't change what the devil got going in the world.
Oh, no.
And I don't, DeSantis himself, I never met him as a person, but he's doing a devil work, period. And I'm labeled right now, my voter registration card is Republican. But ask me, am I going to utilize that? No, sir.
Not for him.
Nah, I won't. And the reason why, and me and you, we go back and forth about our stance. And I'm going to pass it to you. Are you Republican or Democrat?
Well,
no, you're not.
Okay. My household?
Yeah, according to your voting position. I'm going to say that.
My voting position.
Right.
Okay. My voting position, I would have to be honest with you. I'm a Democrat. Okay. I mean, I would say independent, but there's not enough. There's not enough there. There's nothing there to say I'm independent. So to say I'm independent would be a cop out. Okay. Now, would I ever go and go the other way? Of course, I have in the past. All right. My household and my morals, principles, thought process, if you ask anybody, they would tell you that I'm probably a Republican because of my thought process. But, you know what I mean? But I lean the way I lean because if you're not with me, then you're all the way against me. And what I have to make is the decision of the lesser of two evils when I'm dealing with these parties.
True.
That's why. Okay. I picked the lesser of two evils at the point.
All right.
But earlier you spoke on something. Okay. You said we were in an environment, okay, that made that where if a faulty leader could take things down, we had life or death decisions being made. And sometimes we weren't even involved with how the decision even got to that point. But it's there already. And now we here on front line and we got to go for whatever's got to happen because it's going to happen. Okay. That's what scares me about this. What scares me about this the most, okay, is if we raise a nation, and I'm just going to call it what it is. If we raise a nation of idiots, all right, if we raise a nation of idiots out here, I mean, straight buffoons that don't understand what true history is and what their country has done, don't know how to do basic math, can't. And when I'm not just talking about this subject, I'm talking about all subjects. Okay. Right now, what we have been doing to our children in this country with the education level, I had my 18-year-old, I asked him when he was 14 years old, I asked him where China was, man. He could not tell me. Okay. I spoke to the man today that I was talking about. He said he experienced the same thing with his kid. And the dude I talked to yesterday, he experienced the same thing with his kid. The point is that none of us are from the same place. All right. If you raise a nation of idiots, then the only person that has the ability to get to the top is the one with the knowledge, but not just with the knowledge, but with the access to opportunity. Okay. Because knowledge can be power. It can be powerful if you have opportunity to meet that knowledge.
So here's my position on that. We already doomed for at least the next 15 years.
I don't even think I think this is the last election.
It could be. Still, even if we go into a situation where we don't have the same type of government entity that we have now. Yeah. We're a generation away from having any chance again. This is why. The generation that's currently being raised, they done. It's already over for them. If they ain't killing each other, they doing the weird drugs. If they ain't doing the weird drugs, they don't know who they are or what they want to be. If they're not doing that, they gang banging. If they're not gang banging, they got a lot of children. They don't have a lot of children. They're being undereducated, but mostly they're being murdered, incarcerated, impregnated, and undereducated. Let's just use those. Yeah. So you got to remember now,
or addicted to something, whether it be a drug or a video game.
The children that's going to have an opportunity to get in the driver's seat right now, they 7 and under. Some of them were pandemic babies. Yeah. Because at this point, now the parents, we know the dangers of what we just witnessed happen to this last generation. Social media blew their brains. Yeah. Bad. I mean, fried them. They don't have nothing else in their mind but that. That's the reason why so many of them die. Because if you already have an unchecked, untamable ego, and if you beat me up in the corner and don't nobody see it, that's one thing. But if you beat me up and then thousands of people see it, now I got to hear about it.
World star.
You see what I'm saying?
World star.
So my ego is not, so the murder wasn't because you beat me up. I've been beat up before. Yeah. Now it's my ego. With the chicks, I see a lot of females. I swear, I got social media, but if you go down my timeline, you don't see me follow a lot of the model types. Yeah, I don't. I follow one. Shout out to Florida fitness girls, man. They like that. You hear me? One, but they all get the workout type of thing with everybody strapped up. But I don't confuse that with I'm gonna go in the house and my wife better look like this. I don't. No, that's unrealistic. No, that's why that's my one little follow. Because it's like, fantasy world. You ain't saying, "Oh, I want to slam you," but like if I like to see stuff like that, I'm gonna look. A lot of chicks will see that same thing and they go make an appointment. And not only do they make an appointment based on the ego, because now I want to look like her because I think that's what all the men like. Then you got to make the decision from based on what you said earlier, from a lowest economical standpoint possible, as opposed to going to get quality business like 10,000 or better. I'm trying to shoot for the 5. And when I do that, I'm gonna still spend a lot of money getting there and all this stuff. But this is a low vibrational standpoint. Yep. and you're gonna go make that play. And then when you get that, I swear I done seen it. Nothing about your situation changes at all, besides the fact that you got a little bit of popularity for making a change, and then somebody else do it, and then you gone, and then your ego is back down in the dumps, and you got to do something else. So we're in a situation where it's like a little volcano happening.
Yeah.
Ego. It's gonna be so many live shootings that occur over the next 18 months until this election thing. Oh man, that's going to get punishable.
Oh no, yeah, it's going to get crazy.
What are we doing? We can't. Me and you swear we got the heart. If you give us the power, whatever that looks like, give us the political power, give us the resources, we'll change the world. But nobody's in position to want to do that. So we victims of the circumstances that we're in. So how do we do it? We follow the blueprint. We set a course. We set a path. We stay humble. We remember where we came from. We remember even my worst day out here is better than my best day there. Yeah. Even when I can't make ends meet, I got to wake up with an attitude of gratitude because they're not kicking us out today. Might kick me out tomorrow if I don't come up with a plan, but I still got room to come up with a plan. That's why I'm comfortable. I don't have the financial resources that I had last year.
Yeah.
I made a couple investments in some houses right now, so I'm cash strapped, but I still got something going, but I'm cash strapped. I don't panic. I don't worry.
No.
I don't do none of that. I just, every day I wake up, if I'm going to do something today, I might not get it all done, but I'm going to try. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other with something. I'm supposed to be out selling solar on most days, but it's been a heat wave. It'd be 100 degrees outside. It'd be so hot. I'm not going out there and knocking on nobody's door today.
Yeah,
I'm just not going to do it. If I do, I'm a slave to money. I want money so bad, I'm willing to risk my health, life, and I'm willing to make myself uncomfortable for money. But I'm not willing to like totally commit to total suffering just because. And so I had to tell myself, how do I get that peaceful? How do I stay as level as I should be? I know God. He done showed me before. You just got to remember. You know God.
Yeah.
You know what he done. If he done that for you in there, in that environment we was in, you stood out like a sore thumb to me when I met you in federal prison. Part of an establishment that I didn't agree with what they was doing, but the brother had already put himself on the side to be able to affect change. Once he got a partner that he feel like we could ram it down their throats, then we made a move together. It was strategic, well thought out, planned. I was still the public enemy to them. They thought it their best friend, but we was partners and we understood the whole play from the beginning.
Yep.
And he reminded me that we did that 10 years ago. So we understand how it works and we can play the game and he can put a suit on with the best of them and talk like he walked. But in this world, that's frowned upon. What he is and what I am is frowned upon. Being a strong, black, heterosexual male who understands his identity, understands his worth, doesn't accept no disrespect, zero tolerance on allowing something to happen to any of his loved ones, get up and go through blood, sweat, and tears just to pay the bills. That's frowned upon these days. Bad. We more so should be either a rapper, an NBA player, a drug dealer, a nigga in the streets that you don't know really how he get his money, or a nigga on Instagram that you really don't know how they get their money, but they flash. We're not them guys. And that's horrible. That we not held up in high esteem. I hold you in high esteem. Every chance I get, I tell you, bro, listen, you inspire me to get married and get a family and be stable because it gives you more responsibility. Responsibility come with determination. Determination come with grit. You know what I mean? It just trickles down into being who you are now.
It keeps on building you. Yep. And as you make those types of decisions and you grow, you know, those disciplines that you sign up for, all right, are the ones that take you to that next level. Like earlier, you said a minute ago about instructions and how to take the correct path and understanding which way to go. As long as somebody's leaning on the word, okay, as long as someone's leaning on the word, and you're studying it and you're being fervent in it, and you are not just living your life out here as if there are no consequences to it. Okay. A lot of times in life, lawlessness. A lot of times in life, especially growing up, there was a lot of times where I was living in a lawless state. Okay. So that means every decision that I made, all right, I made it with the mindset that there was no there was no level that I would not go to, no thing that I was not going to do if it was against whatever I'm trying to do. All right. There was no opposition to my direction, period. Okay. And when you live like that, like you were talking about earlier, you're not just at a low vibration, but you're at a low vibration that spreads. Okay. See, what a lot of people don't understand the thing about energy, and they teach you this, if anyone has done any kind of electrical work or AC work, anything like that, they teach you that energy does not stop. Once energy is created, energy only changes. It can never be destroyed. It only changes formation, but it never stops. Okay. So whether you're putting good out here or you put negativity out here, whichever one you're putting out here, that vibration is spreading. If you go on social media right now and you flip through that phone right now, you will see majority evil. Okay. Majority negative. All right. Or at least we perceive it as negative. All right. Earlier you said about when you're looking at when women look at other women's bodies and then they want to go change themselves to look like that. Okay. Not understanding that there's beauty in every woman. Okay. Now, did that come from the household and them not being instilled in them at a young age? That beauty is in every single woman. All right. No matter what you size, shape, all that, there's somebody that is going to love you. Okay. But you got to love you first.
Well, who told them?
No one. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
And not only who told them, who taught them. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Because me telling you something and teaching you something are two different things. Because teaching come with a lesson. And it's some observable thing that can be gained. Something can be gained from that lesson.
Yes.
If I tell you something like, hey, man, you know, they got gators in Florida. You be like, oh, okay, cool. But if I take you to the water and I show you, like, throw this little lamb leg in there and the gator slam it, and then I say, all right, let's go swimming. He was like, man, they got gators in Florida. He gonna tell me.
Right.
And that's how you teach children. You know what I'm saying? So going back, I pulled a card. I'm gonna not show you the card because I'm gonna throw you this card, and I want you to give me what come off the top of your head, because I believe that'll segue us to another segment. But before we go, me knowing what I know now, understanding where we at as a people, not black, not white, but just American people. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. Because
I'm true indeed. I got an American flag. I'm probably hanging out in one of my pockets. I keep it with me everywhere I go. So please let me not pump fake like I'm not proud to be
American. No, I'm
here,
very proud.
Here. I'm gonna say here.
We ain't going nowhere.
Because around the world, people go through different things and we don't necessarily see it, so it's not as real to us.
Brother, right now in Somalia,
I know.
You know what's going on right now?
No, you don't even gotta go that far. You could just go to Haiti,
and
see what's going on. So my point is, if I'm privileged at this point, not that you took me from my homeland and I'm thankful for you, boss, for saving me. No, not that.
It never be
right now, today, if I wake up and I say, okay, where would I kind of want to live right now? As far as what I can see, this is it. And only am I in America, I'm in Florida with it. Shout out to Big Florida for embracing me.
Yes,
but
sir, yes, sir.
when you have an opportunity, no matter how minute or small it is, if you don't maximize that opportunity, you're never going to be prepared for the next one anyway.
Yep.
So if I worked at Burger King and I said, man, Burger King is what I got right now, and I hate it with a passion, my hate for it going to make me do it so well that I'm going to end up being a manager in Burger King before long.
Yeah.
That's the mentality that we gotta have. First, we gotta remember we should have an attitude of gratitude towards God for just getting me up. I'm free. And when I say free, I mean physically first. I'm mentally free, which is a blessing. A lot of people are physically free, but mentally enslaved.
Yep.
I'm mentally free and I'm spiritually free. So if I can talk, that means I can talk directly to God if I'm spiritually free. When I got that line of communication, my opportunities and possibilities are endless. And here comes the card. This is my segue for you.
All right.
It says, believing you can is half the battle. So if Trey gets the greatest opportunity in the world and Trey shrinks in a moment because Trey has a lot of self-doubt, because Trey has not been told he's beautiful and there's beauty in every woman or beautiful in every man. He's not been told that you worth this opportunity. How can believing you can be not only half the battle, but more than half the battle? And that's a question. And give me an example in your life of how that rule of thumb can be applied.
All right, so we put it to you like this. All right, the reason that believing you can is definitely more than half the battle. It's the whole battle. Okay, because it starts in your brain. Everything starts with your first thought. When that energy is released and you start going out in the world and do whatever that direction is, all right, that is something that is unstoppable. But you got to think it first. Okay, if you believe it, you can achieve it. All right, there's something we used to say about change. Okay, back at a place that me and you were at together, and as an example, okay, an example of belief. So when I came home, all right, I left my first job. My wife was pregnant, okay, and she was pregnant with the twins, and I left my first job to go work at Amazon. And I was working at Amazon, and I've worked my way up all the way to Amnesty Tech, lead Amnesty Tech. But the thing about Amazon is they have ceilings, and everything is like a certain level. After every certain year, you only go up a certain amount, and that's just what you get, no matter what. No matter what you do.
No doubt.
And that's the type of thing that turns a person like me off.
Okay.
When I see that you got a super ceiling on me, and no matter what I do, I can't do better than what I'm doing, I'm going to leave. That's what happened. And I went and started working with my brother-in-law. I did not know anything about computers. This young man has a degree in IT. Okay, this is not something that I can do. All right, and he came to me. He said, "Look, come work with me. You can do ICQA first. All right, so which is nothing but quality. And looking at the apps, making sure everything's running right, making sure everything's in the right spots, and testing everything to see if it works. Start doing that. Okay. Now, me as a person who did not know anything about computers, but I believed I could do it. Not only did I believe I could do it, I believed I could do what he was doing if he would show me. So he did, and I did.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I assisted him with the coding for Med Test Tracker and PharmaZam. You're talking to somebody who did not have a degree at that point in time. Now I do have one in IT, but I didn't then. Okay. And I'd only been home for less than a year and a half. Hadn't touched a computer, to be honest with you, since high school, like outside of emailing somebody in prison. So if you believe it, you can achieve it, but you just got to believe. That's the first and most major step. The reason that I'm sitting with you right now and you sitting with me right now is because we didn't believe that we could be the people that we are going to be.
Oh, no, even the people that we are now.
Yeah.
I had no clue that we can even become this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Because this is great for me. Being a father and a husband and being out here in the world, this is it. However, there's more to come. Absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, not only is that half the battle, man, that's the whole and complete battle. Everything starts in the mind. And if you do not conquer the mind and create disciplines, when I'm saying creating disciplines, you keep hearing me say things about creating disciplines. Creating disciplines is just creating things that you will be accountable to in life. All right. That's all you're doing. For every child that I have, I'm accountable to. I'm accountable to my wife. I'm accountable to my mom. I'm accountable to my sister. I'm accountable to my father. I'm accountable to my aunt, my grandma. I'm accountable to my whole family. Okay. At least that's how I consider, that's how I was raised. So that's how I am. I feel accountable to everyone. Okay. That is attached to my name. All right. I feel accountable to you. That's why I've worked with you, done all the stuff I've done with you. Like we built a bond in a relationship. Okay. To where I feel accountable for the decisions that I make that affect you, me, and everybody else. So if I don't believe that I can get to the levels in life where I can give away $1 million at one time, okay, which is where I'm planning on being within the next 3 years, then it'll never happen.
No doubt.
Okay. The thought is where it starts. Okay. Whether you look in the Bible, whether you are talking about the Egyptians and know thyself and what they taught there to the Greeks, whether you're looking at Confucius or any of the great philosophers, Taoism, all of that, it all tells you that it starts with belief.
True indeed. Appreciate that answer.
Yes, sir, brother.
No doubt. Man,
yes,
listen,
sir.
Thanks for having me on this one.